Refined Divine holds classes Monday and Thursday at her 2 locations and via Zoom. Classes consist of manifestation, learning psychic abilities, shadow work, and healing trauma. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
This is Psychic Medium Deb. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Greg Bakun here. 'Tis the season. Instead of cramming into the family car to hunt for holiday lights, let Minneapolis Trolley Tours do the driving. Join us for the enchanting Merry and Bright Christmas Light Tour, where we glide through a winter wonderland filled with twinkling lights, festive decor, and plenty of holiday cheer. This uplifting experience wraps you into the holiday magic from the comfort of a cozy, festively decorated, climate-controlled trolley. You'll enjoy dazzling light displays, scenic routes only our trolleys can access, and live narration, never pre-recorded, that brings the sights to life. There are multiple photo stops perfect for holiday cards and memory making with family and friends. Before or after the tour, browse the holiday market inside the historic Pillsbury Club, featuring handcrafted gifts, artisan goods, and locally made treasures. The perfect place to find something special for everyone on your list. Tours depart from the Pillsbury Club. Visit MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for tickets.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with temperatures rising to 22. Tuesday, sunshine with a high of 41. AM 950 needs your help to keep the progressive voices that matter to you on our airwaves. If you can, head to am950radio.com and make a donation today. You'll get our 6th annual AM 950 calendar as a thank you. That's am950radio.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you very much for joining me tonight as the heat wave has begun in Minnesota. As let's put it this way, Friday. Let's go back to the timeline real fast before we bring on our guest. Friday, we had basically well below zero, very, very low. And then on Saturday, Sunday, below zero. Yesterday was horrific, just absolutely horrific. And then today, because it warmed up so much, I got to wear shorts. And that is, of course, because we got to the 20s today. So it's, you know, my guest who lives in Minnesota, we're going to talk about this here in a second, because you all, if you're not in Minnesota, you might be like, that's ridiculous. You can tell the difference. You can tell the absolute difference in temperature change between, what was it, about 14 below, 16 below zero yesterday to being about 25 degrees today above zero. Tomorrow is going to be, I think, 30 something maybe. This is a heat wave, folks, and we're really excited about it. I'm really excited about it. I do not like the cold one bit, as we talked about on Friday. Now, my guest tonight, we've had on a number of times, and I love having him on because, first of all, we love to talk to local authors, and Joe Prosit, who we've talked about a number of his books on the program before, is a very talented writer. And he is just, it's fun to listen to his thought process in terms of like how he comes up with the stories. And he's working on a new book. It's coming out in January. And that is actually called The Reality Reaction Team. And we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about other things. We're just going to talk about just the work that he's been doing and stuff, and it's very exciting. Joe, welcome to GhostBox Radio. How have you been doing?
Doing great, Greg. Thanks for having me on again. It's Christmas time, and we're all getting in the season. But yeah, I heard high of 41, and I know on my phone app I saw negative 17. So yeah, that's like almost a 60-degree flip. So if people not familiar, yes, 41. That sounds like summer weather to me. That's shorts weather.
It truly is, and that's the thing that I don't think people totally understand is that this is tropical weather for Minnesota. When you know, especially and even going, I think from 16 below to say even like 16 above, it's not great, but you can certainly feel it. It's absolutely it's tremendous, and it's liberating too. I actually ended up
once
doing.
You get below negative 10, like things stop functioning the way they're supposed to. like doors, vehicles, anything that has like moving parts, like nothing wants to. Yeah, your body, nothing wants to move once it gets below negative 10.
No, absolutely. Let's see. Courtney says Wisconsin was negative 20 the other day. Feeling good about the 40s coming. Isn't that something? I'm like excited for the 40s. And the thing is about that too is I don't know. I mean, it's Sunday. I ended up getting Instacart because I just could not leave it to myself to leave the house in this kind of weather to get groceries, and it's lazy, but you're paying for convenience. But man, I just
but it's you feel like sheltering in place, just. Hibernation time.
I think what you should do is write a story that takes place in like sheltering in place because of below frigid temperatures. I mean, now that I've said it out loud, and if you do it, I will sue you, of course. But
sure, right.
I mean, come on, right?
It does somehow. Yeah, it does seep in though, and like, it's always like trying to find a new and interesting way, because one of my favorite books and movies, The Shining, kind of tackles that kind of snowed in isolation. I think it does a really good job of it. So, but there's a million different ways, and I'm sure someday in the future I'll want to tackle it from a new angle and try to explain that feeling of just how cold it, because I think the coldest I've ever seen, I think was like negative 40.
Yeah.
And nothing is meant to function in that temperature.
It's subhuman. And yesterday on the Disney live stream, what I always watch The Simpsons, it was the Treehouse of Terror that took place in, like, it was a takeoff on The Shining where Homer.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, this seems about right. It seems about right.
Yep.
Now, that's right. Now here we are, and we're at the end. We're at the tail end of 2025, and I've seen you a few times in person this year. We last saw each other at Twin Cities Con. How did the Twin Cities Con work out for you?
Yeah, one of my favorite shows of the year, one of my biggest shows of the year. I always love doing Twin Cities Con. And kind of my favorite thing about that show is that there's kind of this cadre of independent authors, and we work together, and we'll do anthologies together. And regularly throughout the year, we'll see each other like, oh, I'm going to be in Omaha. You're going to be in Omaha. And onesie twosies, we kind of bump into each other. And there's between Twin Cities Con and Des Moines Con, I feel are the big conventions where we all get together, and we always try to go out and have a meal, and, socialize a little bit and kind of, be all together at once. Cause, convention life is, it's interesting, and it's a lot of fun, and there's so many people that you meet, but it's really cool to have like this kind of network or this team of peers, to join up every once in a while.
Yeah, the dinner that I wasn't invited to. Yes, I've heard about it.
I think I invited you.
You didn't, but I also tell you I don't expect to. I'm just kidding. I'm just giving you a hard time. It's for apparently for cool authors and not for cool authors and radio hosts. I get it. It's
no.
totally,
Next time I'll be sure to invite you. It's
well, and that I got to see Darby Harn out there as well. Well, I saw him. Obviously, we met him out in Des Moines Con, and then went saw him at Twin Cities Con, and that was fun. You know what I really like about that, without even quite realizing it, that like obviously you both know each other, and like you just got done saying that wonderful community of authors, and kind of like, and I know the convention life from a different sort of angle to it, but it kind of comes down to the same thing. It's exciting and lonely at the same time, and you really find yourself, maybe I'm wrong here, but you really find yourself kind of hoping to latch on to some people in a community, because you want to be able to maneuver this con life together in a certain way.
Yeah, for sure. I know I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Like 3 years ago, I was working full time for the Army, and I retired. And one of my big concerns after my retirement was like, I'm leaving this community of, a tight-knit community of people and friends that I'll have for my whole life, and some people who I'll never see again. And one of my big concerns is like, I'm losing that, right? And how do I go about, having peers when I'm undertaking this by nature solitary pursuit? So it was a huge relief to me, and it's something that I really enjoy in the indie circle. That like I said, I'm doing a collab. I don't know if you got to met TR Nickel or Tiff. Me and her are doing a collab right now. So kind of some behind the scenes. We got like a sci-fi fantasy kind of genre blend, probably like novella that'll come out maybe 3 months from now. Who knows?
Nice.
But yeah, it's just really fun to have those peers and to also like bounce ideas and strategies, because it's a business and there's no guidebook for it. So to have conversations with people and say, hey, are you doing this con? Are you doing this con? Or have you tried this service? Or who do you use to do your printing, or whatever it is? I'm not so much like a ship lost at sea anymore. Now there is a community out there. So for creative people out there, I would say find your community.
And that has to help greatly too when you are, the fact is you don't have to worry about people or even yourself holding back information. It sounds like there's no ego. There's just people who want to help each other, and that's wonderful.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if Darby or Tiff or any of those guys, if they become the next, Brandon Sanderson or whatever big name, fantastic. Like that would be so incredible to see that level of success coming out of this community. Like as we help each other and as we grow, we learn from each other, and it's really every win's a team win.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, before we take our break, because when we come back in the second segment, we're going to get into the new book. So I just want to make, I'm not really telling the audience that. I'm telling Joe that because he's probably wondering, are we going to be talking about this thing anytime soon? But you mentioned right before we went on the air something about a con that you had went to, and the story had to do with Lita Ford.
Yeah. Okay, so this is,
all right.
If you've never been to a convention, you never know what you're going to come across. You never know what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
And I'm at this, it's a horror convention. And one thing I like about horror conventions, particularly, is it seems like they do a really great job of like not secluding the celebrities. Often like, I love Twin Cities Con, but the bigger cons will take, you can't have like Hayden Christensen just out
walking
around,
right?
No,
you can't.
Yeah, he's going to get mobbed. But at a lot of these horror conventions, you have, actors and celebrities and musicians who, are at the table next to you. And it's kind of, again, it's that sense of community. And there's not like that line of like, well, these are the cool people, and you peasants stay over there. So I'm there, and there's like Judge Reinhold and Bill Moseley from a bunch of horror movies. The whole cast of Return of the Living Dead is there, and just a whole bunch, right? I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. But, I have somebody who comes up to my table, and I love telling people about my books and having those conversations one-on-one with potential, readers. And I'm in the middle of this conversation, and this electric guitar just rips open, like loud, distorted electric guitar. And it just keeps going. And I'm in the middle of this, pitching my book. And in my head, I'm like, I won't use the word that was in my head, but who in the heck is playing this guitar? Right. And I'm a little more than annoyed, but, I contain myself, maintain my composure, and end up selling this customer a book. And I'm like, okay, cool. But I got to figure out what's going on. So I leave my booth because the guitar is still going. And I come around the corner, and who's playing guitar but Lita Ford. And as soon as I saw it was Lita Ford, I'm like, oh yeah, she gets to play guitar whenever she wants, right?
Yeah, right. You're not gonna be like, oh, excuse me, Miss Ford, I'm trying to sell a book here.
Can you turn it down, please? But she played Kiss Me Deadly and Close My Eyes Forever. Just her a guitar, a tiny little amp, and Close My Eyes Forever. That's her and Ozzy do a duet.
Yeah.
Well, she just pulled some guy out of the audience, and here this guy, he's like, I know the words. And so this random dude and Lita Ford are singing the song together. And I'm like, this is one of the coolest things that ever happened at a con. And then later on, she came by, and I said, hey, that was awesome. Thanks. And, she talked for a while right at my table. So of course, what I do, I try to sell her a book. She did not buy it, but she was very polite and shook my hand. But
the guy, did he sound good?
He sounded, I don't think Ozzy's a high bar, so I think he sounded pretty good.
And the reason I bring it up is is he a plant actually? It's like that.
I don't think so, maybe, but he seemed random enough that
rando. I got to tell you a quick convention story, because I used to do more, but I was doing Doctor Who conventions and go out to the one in California called Gallifrey One. And a friend of mine, he was the handler for an actress named Billie Piper who played Rose on Doctor Who, a big name in Doctor Who with the return and stuff. And what people don't realize is that people give these guests gifts. They give them gifts, and they're very random. And some of the stuff she can't take with her. You just can't take all this stuff with. So they gave it to my friend who was the handler. And afterwards, a bunch of us went up to the room, and we all kind of did this game where we ended up getting pieces of all her stuff. And some of the stuff was some of it was very nice. Some of it was really weird. For example, what I got, somebody gave this to Billie Piper, and I'm not kidding, a glossy still of Linda Blair from The Exorcist protruding vomit. And I'm like, okay, I got to have that. And you know what, Joe, I was meant to have this, because then that following Paracon in Monoma, Minnesota, Linda Blair was at. And I went up and I had her sign that picture.
That's awesome.
And she doesn't think that was actually her. It's like they had some people stand in for some of those, and with the makeup and stuff. So
sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. Anyway, enough about that. But I just you mentioned the horror convention, and I'm like, oh, I gotta share mine here real fast too. Why don't we go ahead and do this? Let's get our first break in here. When we come back, we're going to start talking about Joe Prosit's new book, The Reality Reaction Machine. We're going to talk about its release date in January. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
Greg Bakun here. 'Tis the season. Instead of cramming into the family car to hunt for holiday lights, let Minneapolis Trolley Tours do the driving. Join us for the enchanting Merry and Bright Christmas Light Tour, where we glide through a winter wonderland filled with twinkling lights, festive decor, and plenty of holiday cheer. This uplifting experience wraps you into the holiday magic from the comfort of a cozy, festively decorated, climate-controlled trolley. You'll enjoy dazzling light displays, scenic routes only our trolleys can access, and live narration, never pre-recorded, that brings the sights to life. There are multiple photo stops perfect for holiday cards and memory making with the family and friends. Before or after the tour, browse the holiday market inside the historic Pillsbury Club, featuring handcrafted gifts, artisan goods, and locally made treasures. The perfect place to find something special for everyone on your list. Tours depart from the Pillsbury Club. Visit MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for tickets.
Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Greg Bakun here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey, bacon, avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
Greg Bakun here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursion to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to theandersonhousehotel.com.
And I hope that some of you have taken up my suggestion of doing the lights tour on the Minneapolis Trolley Tour. It's, they take care of you over there, taking out of the haunted Pillsbury Club and take you on the tour of all these magical lights and stuff. And as I mentioned before, you need to go to MinneapolisTrolleyTour.com because they are offering an adult-only version of this tour as well, which means that if you are in the Christmas spirit, but maybe not so interested in being around families and stuff, and that's, sometimes that's how we all feel. Or if you are part of a family and you kind of want to get away and have a fun night out with wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, you got to go check out the BYOB tour. It's over. You can find out more over at Minneapolis Trolley Tour. And Joe, I'm just going to say that is something that I certainly would like to do. I'd like to go on all these tours and have some drinks and just have a good time. That's all I care about these days. So
yeah. I did the Wabasha Cave tour a couple years ago. That was a really cool one. And for people who don't know, that used to be like an old gangster hideout. And there's still bullet holes in the wall and kind of a pretty cool historic place to tour. And they do like a gangsters tour out of there that they put you on a bus and they drive you all around and you show you where like Don Dillinger, slept here and these people robbed this place. Cool stuff.
Very cool stuff. Our guest tonight is author Joe Prosit. We're going to be talking about his most recent book that's not available yet, but we want to talk about it and get people excited about it. It's called The Reality Reaction Team. And this is going to be really cool. What number book is this for you?
I think this will be my 7th novel, and then I have 2 short story collections out as well. So we could call it number 9, really.
Very nice. My gosh. So let's talk a little bit about the book. Now I have that right, correct? That it's not going to be available until January.
Yep. January 9th, it comes out. You're going to be able to find it at Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, all your online retailers that sell books. And also, so we're doing a couple fun things on January 9th. I'm going to be at Five Rocks Distillery Company up here in Brainerd, and we're doing a little release party, having some cocktails and signing some books. Kind of a nice little intimate gathering to celebrate the new book. And then the next day, also up here in Brainerd, Cattails Books and Gifts right on Laurel Street. Cool independent bookstore. Lucas runs the place. Really cool dude. And we're going to do a signing and event there as well. So, and then from there, of course, all these conventions that we were just talking about and all the different places. Yeah, all points south.
The cycle begins again, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So what's the book about?
Oh, man. As I tell people, the book is set in the year 4 million, which is kind of a ludicrous year, but set far in the future where there are simulated realities inside of simulated realities, inside of simulated realities, so much so that at any given time, people aren't really sure whether or not what they're experiencing is reality or not. Thankfully, if you're feeling this way, there is a team of secret agents that you can call called the Reality Reaction Team, who will show up and let you know whether or not the thing that you're experiencing, whether or not it's reality or not.
Wow. That's interesting. That's very interesting. So how do you go into any sort of background on how society gets to this stage of not knowing, that it has reality upon reality, that we don't know what is reality any longer?
Yeah, I mean, I would say we're beginning to experience that already, right? Yeah. And that was really the impulse for the story is even today, you can go on any social media app and, I've had people show me oh, look at this video of this highway crash. And you're like, oh man, it's this huge pileup. And then you look at it a little longer, and you're like, all the cars in the opposite lane, they're all white. And this car is way too small to be compared to this truck that it's next to. And you're like, oh, this is AI. This never happened. This isn't reality. Yeah. And also, I've done a little bit of building up with it. So if any listeners have read my 99 Town series, it's kind of set in that same universe and just moves the story along quite a bit further. There's no shared characters between the two stories as really stand out of their own, but we have some of that history of technology going bad and going sour, and then people trying to fix it. And even in the book itself, kind of the other plot that's going on is, society is facing all these problems, war, disease, famine, pollution, you name it, right? Not that different from today. But one solution that's offered up by kind of the most powerful people in the world is, we have the ability to put people into a simulated reality and let them hibernate for 10 years. And if we do this to enough people, say 99% of the world population, we can handpick the ones who remain awake and they can get to work fixing it, right? We can eradicate disease. We can clean up the rivers. We can redraw the borders and redraw peace treaties to end all these wars. But if you're going to do that, right? If I'm living in this society and somebody's telling me, hey, go take a nap for 10 years and we'll fix everything. It'll be great when you wake up. Well, that requires a whole lot of trust, right?
Yeah.
And when you're living in a society where you can no longer tell what's real and what's not, well, that just ups the antes of how do I go about making decisions when I no longer know what's real and what's not?
How can people, in the stories that you're writing for this book, how can they trust the Reality Reaction Team when they can't trust pretty much everything else that's going on around them? Right.
I mean, that's another piece of that puzzle, right? Is because that's the big question is what gives them the authority to decide what's real and what's not? How can we trust them? is there such a thing as objective reality or objective truth? Or is every single perspective, is that a valid perspective, right? So yeah, I mean, it was all these things that I was kind of messing with in my own head and stirring around my own head. And that was kind of why I needed to write this book. Is I know I'm not alone feeling this way. Like, there's who we can trust is getting harder and harder to decipher. And people that I'm, close friends with or family members or whoever, when we have certain conversations, it's like we're coming at it from two different echo chambers. And, you have to remind yourself, like, everybody's susceptible to propaganda, and trying to find that common ground and trying to find consensus when we're no longer sharing the same reality. Like, that's the whole trick, right? Like, that's the whole problem.
Does that depress you at all when you're thinking about it? I mean, as a outlet, a creative outlet, you're writing this book, but when you're thinking about it and thinking that we're, like you said, we're already starting down this path, does that depress you?
It troubles me for sure. I don't know if depress is the right word, but like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where this came from, is like, I don't do well with just sitting on problems. So when there's this problem that I see us all dealing with, writing is kind of my outlet, or it's my solution for my search for a solution. And maybe I hit the mark, and maybe, I'm way off base, but I hope that through the book and through writing, I've kind of found myself, I've answered some of that, and satisfied myself, and hopefully, kind of give readers something to think about as well.
When you do this exercise, and you're basing a story that's way off in the future with basically a starting point of present day. I've seen authors take that and take it as an opportunity to show that this can be solved, or they take it to the most horrific sort of outcome to it, in the sense that, like, I think of, like, I don't know if you ever heard of Nigel Neal, who had, in the UK, he had written a lot of stuff. He's a long time ago, but in the 60s, he wrote a play, a television play called Year of the Sex Olympics. And basically what it is about where television was going to go. And this is in 1968 that he made this, and the BBC made this. And you know what where he thought television was going to go? Basically a reality television network, where it's like you're watching people's lives, and people are more excited when they see trauma being attached to these people's lives than like good stuff. And it's eerie. Yeah. Where do you fall in that?
I try to be a relentless. I try to be a relentless optimist, and I certainly enjoy. I love satire. I love dark humor. Like the most recent movie I saw in the theater was Running Man, and still like the book the best. But it's very similar topic. Most people are probably familiar with the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I love that one as well. Also like the new one, which is a little truer to the book. Kind of this idea of like marketing pain and misery, and forcing people to do anything for money, which is all that's pretty pessimistic. I think I take a pretty optimistic angle with Reality Reaction Team. I think if you like happy endings, you won't be too angry at me with the book by the time the book's done. But at the same time, I don't think, it's a problem that's so easy that it can all be swept under the rug and everybody lives happily ever after either.
And that's just it. I mean, I think what I would really like to do is read the book, because I'd like to see, based on where you take characters, where you take the premise, is going to be kind of an insight, and correct me if I'm wrong, an insight into how you think this possibly could be handled down the line.
Yeah, for sure. Or at least a strategy. If it's
Yeah.
not, if there's not a solution to the overall problem, at least there's a strategy to handle our current situation with where we're at now, about when we can no longer tell what's real and what's not. How do we make ethical, moral decisions?
Absolutely. We are talking with author Joe Prosit. We're talking about a book that's going to be coming out January 9th, The Reality Reaction Team. And it's such an interesting premise. And, the premise of basically what is reality. And we've been talking about, and you brought up, and I have to agree, I look at stuff on the internet, I look at stuff on Facebook or whatever, I see pictures, I see news, and my first reaction isn't like, oh no, or anything. It's like, is this real? I don't trust anything that I see anymore. But it's also interesting that you're taking it and you're kind of trying to extrapolate what this is going to look like down the line, which I don't think is something that I think that a lot of people do wonder what this is going to look like. I think we all think to ourselves, if this is getting relatively out of hand now, I'm trying to be polite about it, what's it going to look like in 10 years? I mean, let alone in the year 4 million.
Yeah. In that 4 million, it's almost a joke because, it is kind of a joke, because it's not going to take that long. And I don't see right now, even though I said I'm, relentless optimist, I don't see how this is going to get better anytime soon. And it's really, something we're going to have to learn to figure out. It's a huge crisis, and I certainly don't have all the solutions.
It's so weird. This is going to just kind of be a downer for everybody. Because I've been thinking about it myself, and I thought, I feel like what needs to happen is, unfortunately, somehow we need to become a society again without a lot of this technology, and to kind of rewire ourselves. I think as long as technology is around, that's just good, because I think a lot of this stuff is opportunists in a lot of ways. The people making the AI stuff, they're opportunists. They're, it's not about communication anymore. It's about clicks, the number of clicks, number of, and it just seems like, to me, it's like, this isn't going to change until we get rid of, that we become a society that doesn't have all this. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen organically. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I think, like, part of the problem is, the acceleration of technology. And I think I read somewhere that between the invention of, like, a human holding a rock and hitting stuff with a rock, and the invention of the hammer, as in, like, putting a stick on that rock, something like 10 million years, something like that, like some ridiculous length of time. That's how much time our ancestors had to adapt to new technology. And now you think about it, like the personal computer came out in like in people's homes in like late 80s, mid 80s. And now already we have artificial intelligence, not just in our homes, but in our pockets. And I think that's just a huge challenge to just the human brain as a whole, to, like, try to keep up. And I feel like instead of being masters of our own technology, our technology is now masters of us. And if we're gonna continue to exist as a civil society and people who care about each other and take care of each other, we gotta flip that over, and we gotta kind of get control of these things.
Yes, absolutely, very much so. This is such a fascinating conversation. We're going to continue on. I'm going to get a break in here, but when we come back, we're going to continue talking about the reality reaction machine. We're going to be team. We got it wrong, as well as AI in general and all of this stuff. If you have any questions, put it into the comments. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to GhostBox Radio.
Am I frozen out?
And we kind of got kicked off the air here real fast. So I think it was a problem over at my house. I think we're back up. So I apologize to everybody if you're wondering what was going on, because I was wondering what was going on, and it came directly from my house. But I thought for a minute I'd try to keep going without any sort of explanation and just make everyone feel like that it was a problem at their end as well. But no, it's on me. Join me tomorrow. We have a big week here in GhostBox Radio with today's show with Joe. Tomorrow we're going to have on the return of Moon Girl, Mistress of the Paranormal. We have her on a couple times of the year, but we're going to have her on tomorrow for the 2026 predictions. And if you listen to her predictions for 2025, there is something, and you're not gonna want to miss this. So that's going to be tomorrow, Wednesday. Always, we're really excited. We're going to have Refined Divine on doing one question readings. Very excited about that. Thursday, a replay with Joe Frankie, and then Casual Friday. And I was just so happy, Joe. We made it through the great lockdown of technology here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think they heard us talking about it. They shut us down.
Well, isn't that something? Because that's the sort of conspiracy stuff that all this stuff comes out of, is stuff like that. And it's, it's so bad. I even lost your Santa hat. I mean, that's the sad thing. Or was that never really there? And
oh yeah, no, it's not like a filter or anything. This is a real Santa hat. I've had this one for years, and every year, my wife pulls it out of the box and she's like, "We can get a new one. This is kind of like yellowed and gross." And I'm like, "No. This is like my Trading Places Santa hat. I just need a slab of salmon to eat from inside my Santa robe, and I'll be set."
That's funny. Tonight we are talking with author Joe Prosit. We're talking about the Reality Reaction Team. It's a book that's coming out on January 9th. It's such an interesting premise to it. And, I was thinking about this. One of the big things that we were so worried about was the idea of like a Terminator 2 sort of Skynet sort of situation there that kind of, takes, artificial intelligence to a different way. But I kind of feel like the really big worry is kind of what you are writing about and not knowing like what the truth is. I mean, with Skynet, it was about authoritarian rule. This is about, we don't even know what we're talking about half the time. We don't know what if what we're talking about is even right, or if we know the whole story, if we know any of it, and the other people that you're talking with, they know even less or more or whatever. To me, I think that's the bigger problem.
Yeah, and it's definitely like more intimate. Like, yeah. Not that Skynet is off the table, because like all those things it seems like we're creeping closer and closer to that as well. But, I think back to even when I was, a kid, or even when I was younger, we had, ABC, NBC, CBS, and not even Fox at that time when I was young. Yeah. And whatever they said, that was like the accepted, that was the accepted word. Like whatever Walter Cronkite said, that was the truth. And then everybody went and kind of made decisions from there, and you could disagree with what to do about reality, but we all agreed on what reality was.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that that's a problem-free system, right? Of having one arbiter of truth. But where do we go from here? Yeah.
It's really hard because in my mind, because where do we go from here? Like you said, like Walter Cronkite, and I often thought to myself, was Walter Cronkite right? I mean, I don't know. I wasn't really around then, but it just seems so odd to that everyone places so much trust into one person, whereas now, and are we better off because we know everybody's opinion on everything? I mean, that's kind of the thing. We should be able to know other people's opinion. I mean, that's what life is about, is knowing what other people think about things. But then within that, you have, these artificial intelligent bots that are on either side, stoking fires and stuff on virtually and online. I mean, it's stuff like that I just don't know. It makes my head spin. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Because there is,
Yeah,
in my
it's
mind, there is no one direction, and I mean, I just and I feel like that's what everybody wants these days, is like really just one way, and which is odd considering what we have become with, like, through social media and technology.
yeah, and strangely enough, I also feel at the same time that more and more. I was talking to somebody today, and I put it this way: I feel like every time there's an event that happens, every current event, we're shown this like Rawshire ink blot test, and there's only two answers, and it's either kind of the take on the right or the take on the left, and those are the only two opinions you're allowed to have, right? And so much nuance and so much unique opinions, and like truly thinking for yourself. I also feel like that's gone. Like somehow, even though we have all these infinite opinions and all these infinite sources of news and perspectives, somehow we've distilled everything down to two views that are diametrically opposed and will never unite. And it's such a weird thing. Because you would think that with all these different sources and all these different opinions, we would have a multitude of varying opinions on every single subject matter, but it doesn't matter what it is. Eventually you have to take one side or the other, it feels like. And I don't like it. I disagree with it.
Yeah.
And it's weird that these things can coexist at the same time.
Absolutely, and we on this show we don't delve into politics, but this isn't really it, because I think you're absolutely right, Joe. I think, and I when I notice too, and when you talk about these events that happen, I feel like that there is a script almost that each side has that isn't about the let's talk about the situation, let's mourn, let's grow, let's heal. It's always about blaming something else or bringing up something else as, well, you did this, but this is what you guys did, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it feels so, when I see that, it feels so hopeless to me. And that's what really gets me down, is the idea of that, like what you're saying, is that no one is trying. It feels like, and I know it's generalizing saying nobody is, because people are, but it feels like the mass majorities are staying to party sides, and that, like you said, so opposed now, so polar opposite now, that even it feels like even coming together to figure out the most simplest thing is not going to happen.
Yeah, and it's something, I don't know. Me being the eternal optimist, I think hopefully people are getting tired of that by now. I would think that we're all getting fatigued by this relentless 24-hour news cycle and this relentless opinion machine and rage bait and all these things. And not to sound too trite, but if we could all put our phones away for a while and just hang out and, talk to each other like we used to, would probably all be a lot better off.
See, I told you. Remember in last segment, I told you, you got to have this situation where you get rid of the technology. But I mean, once again, I cannot help but to agree. And the thing is like, you go to Walter Cronkite in the the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever it is, and that was the person that you trusted with the news. Now you have a billion sources for news, and I don't know of any of them that are really putting the news consumer first to actually to get ahead of what's to try to make something more sensationalized, or to try to get people to watch them opposed to someone else, so they're going to take a very different slant. That's really frustrating to me.
Yeah Well, and back in like when we were kids, the news was on at from 5 to 5:30 was your local news. From 5:30 to 6 was the nationwide news, and after that it was Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
And
so you're saying that we should have Pat Sajak come back and he could be the new Walter Cronkite.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good idea. Talk about like a guy who can unite us all. I think the Vanna White and Pat Sajak, they need to make a return and heal America.
Heal America. Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. So, I mean, I'm excited to see, what I was thinking about too, your book is done and all that, but you could have turned this into a choose your own adventure. I mean, it'd even be more whacked. Like the whole time you're going through an adventure and you think that you are actually, this is like the real thing. What's happening is real. And then at the very last page, you can tell your reader, sorry, this wasn't real. This is one of them.
Man, real. That could be a lot of fun.
Or you can mess up a lot of people. You really could just
mentally break them. I'm okay with that too.
Wow, there we go. The eternal optimist with the Santa hat. He's just like, yeah,
I will break you.
But I mean, as an author, I'm sure you don't want to break them. I get that, but you want to certainly create something that sticks with your readers, right? That they're just sort of thing.
And I hope that I'm challenging readers, and that I'm not all that interested in just kind of boilerplate. I have a rule, and that's entertain first, right? That's my number one job as an author. Is it's my job to entertain you. You paid whatever much money for a book. It's my job to do my job and make it fun while you're there. At the same time, I think I'm really, honestly, I'm doing this for myself, and I like to play with ideas, and I like to challenge myself and deal with things that I don't yet understand fully myself.
Yeah.
And I think that's more engaging for a reader. I think that is something that sticks with people, hopefully, is you can take something away and just get a different perspective. And I never want to be the ham-fisted preacher who's saying this is the right way to do things. I want people to come to their own conclusions and have their own perspectives. And to, what would be great is for people to read this book and then have a conversation with each other and say like, well, I think that was really weird and off base, or no, I agree with this point, or he was right here, but that doesn't really make sense a lot there. Right. Like those kind of conversations. Kind of like we were talking before, I think that's how we get away from this rage machine that is, social media and the internet and modern news and and really just having conversations with each other and recognizing each other as humans and not just political opponents.
Well, absolutely. And we're running out of time real fast, but I want to quickly say it's a whole other thing to that too. The idea of, like you said, you're writing a book based on what you want to talk about, But I talked to a host, a different station, a couple weeks ago, and they were basing what they put on the show based on the numbers that they were getting for their shorts on YouTube, which I understand, but I don't want to be cornered by that. I want to be able to do what I want. So, and as we have less than a minute left, I just want to say I think that I totally agree with you on that. That this should always be. It should really always start with you, right? At the end, look what you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, if we're just serving the machine, then what's the point?
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Once again, the Reality Reaction team, author Joe Prosit. The book comes out January 9th. We'll remind everybody about this when it comes out, because we want to make sure everyone has a chance to get the book, as well as the fact that if you want to get his other books or just check out to see what's going on with Mr. Prosit, make sure you go visit joeprosit.com. We're going to make sure that we have you on in January, at least for a little bit, to talk about everything and the new book and whatnot. But Joe, thank you so much. Really, it's always good to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you. These shows are so much fun. Great conversations.
Absolutely. I really appreciate it, Joe. Everyone, have a great night. Tomorrow, we're going to do 2026 predictions. Have a good night.